Meow. Welcome, y'all, to the Night Talk. I am your host, Dwayne Lanham, with the infamous co-host, Tilo. How you been, man?
Doing the best I can with what I got.
Feel that? Feel that? What is up, guys? It's been a minute, guys, and it's going to be a little longer. So, before we even start this show off, guys, it's been one wild ass ride, and it's still going to be one wild ass ride. I took a job to where it's a little strenuous on my schedule. I will not know my schedule and everything till Saturday. So I need y'all to bear with me. And I need y'all to bear with me. I need y'all to work with me. It might be like a month or two before I can get a show up in the air. I got a lot of things going on here in the next couple months, but besides all this yada yada depressing bullshit, hello. Let's focus on you here for a minute, man. We're gonna do some checkups before we get into the nitty gritties. How you holding up, man? TLO? Uh-oh. I have completely lost the TLO.
I'm here. I'm not sure what's going on.
Oh, there you go. Hi.
Hello. Hello, world.
So, how are you holding up, man? Because I know shit down there in Minneapolis is kind of getting a little rowdy. A little rowdy.
Well, Dwayne, it's pretty much the usual here in good old Minneapolis, so there's nothing too much to report. It's usual crime-ridden society, a bunch of self-absorbed Pringles, and yeah, that's pretty much about it.
That's pretty much about it. So, guys, we're going to get right into the nitty gritty. And TLO hasn't showed his face on camera in a good hot fucking minute. So, when his camera comes on, it's like,
Yes. When the classes come off as well, it's like it's serious.
that's why I'm kind of fucking sitting here shaking in my boots with the topics I texted you earlier.
Oh yeah, no, there's plenty, as you said before, to talk about. First, it's been a lengthy period since we were last on, and
It's been about a good 2 weeks where me and Tim had our shirts off.
yes, the good old shirts off incident. I remember it well. That was a whole lot of pastiness, especially coming from a gentleman who's now, residing in Florida.
Yeah, I'm fully clothed today. You're not going to see any magnets sticking to me or anything else like that today. I hope not. God, that was kind of just a tiny bit embarrassing. Just not gonna lie, just a tiny bit. So, guys, let's get right down to the fucking shit, dude, because there's a lot to talk about, and we got this could take a while. So, let's talk about how certain states have not disclosed unless TLO knows. certain states have got the election count, the election votes unsealed to where the states can go back in and start recounting election votes. What? Not even 5 months into Biden being president.
Well, I know there is an awful lot. I haven't been able to follow that too much just because there's been so much up and down with the multiple states that are lodging these recounts. So, and there's another issue at hand as well. You have to find some sort of somewhat reputable third party to do the counting because it can't be any sort of government affiliation. So,
Like Dominion can't even go back in and count their votes,
nope.
and the state electors can't even go back in. So who does that leave? What?
They
Uh,
they hired a private firm, I do believe, that did. I forgot what large investigation. I think it was something to do with Gamergate, but they're called Ninja Spies or something like to that effect.
we're trusting some wacky ass fucking outside firm to come in and count our election votes.
Yes.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Now, I quickly looked up a couple of articles earlier today about it. One of them was Associated Press, so also somewhat, reputable as far as you can toss these media entities.
Right. And by the way, before we get banned again, I'm going to put this out now. Everything we say is predictive theory. 90% of it is facts, but a lot of it is also predictive theory. Now, so you have an outside firm counting votes, right?
Well, no matter what, it doesn't really change too much. I mean, yeah, he would, you know, have a case. Trump would have a case for certain election things, but then you'd have to try and navigate the whole ordeal of finding out who and where and what, because you already would know the why, but you'd have to figure out those other aspects as well, and that can be lengthy. And it could also already be by about 2024 by the time they actually start any true investigation. Because all of that would have to be done in that lengthy process, and we all know how lengthy those processes can be.
Well, here's my thing, TLO, okay? So we covered election night back in 2020 when everything happened, right? We were seeing people who were meant to count the vote, get sent home.
Oh, there were chaotic times. There was nothing predictable or too out of the ordinary or too extreme for that matter that was going on with that election. So it's really hard to tell. I mean, I'm always been of the mind that all elections are somewhat skewed. So it doesn't necessarily matter which political affiliate you like to identify as. Um, most of them are bad. Like I don't really care. Um, most of them are bad. Most of them are corrupt. Most of them have pretty much, as I said before, the self-absorbed Pringle syndrome, and they only have self-interest in mind, and that's being played out in real time in front of everybody. But most people seem to have lost the ability to do any sort of actual thought process without, of course, the assistance of the electronic gurus of today on TikTok or Twitter or whatnot.
Right. And you know what? You make a good point, TLO. As someone who is more indulged in social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you know, not saying you're not because you use Twitter. use Instagram. I've actually seen a couple of your arguments. I think it was on Twitter the other day.
Yeah, I'll sometimes go on there, but I it's very rare. The only time I really go on there is to check out the dark Twitter, or the Twitter after midnight, or whatever they call it. So just to check out what depravity the world is up to these days, since I seem to be in a sort of isolated position. Granted, things are opening up, but it's still not the same. People, are pretending, and it's very weird. It's very disjointed. A lot of people out there, I don't know. I think they're in shock or something, but I'm not sure people have truly grasped the dire situation that all of us are facing at this moment, which is we're, as I said before, losing our ability to think critically. Most people just kind of go along with what the flow is, and what the flow, or what's the vernacular for these young cats these days, what the vibe is.
Yeah.
Um, they aren't really based in much reality. And I've been doing some deep dive shit since I have a lot of time on my hands, personal time. Isn't that right, Garfield? Ah, you lazy orange bastard. Um, so I've been doing a lot of research online with a lot of different aspects of life, uh, people's sexual identities, a lot of the identity politics that are going on, a lot of the cancel culture that seems to be going on, and how lopsided and how disparaging it truly is to watch people eviscerate each other for just having a different thought process, which is scary because it kind of falls into the narrative that some poor, beautiful soul, beautiful inside and definitely outside, a Miss Gina Carano, um, was trying to make the point with one of her posts that people are being turned against each other over very minute things. And we're seeing it played out, as I said, in real time, like it's a movie happening around. I totally feel like I watch all sorts of stuff. And back in the 90s, I never would have thought that any of this would just become daily life, like seeing people dead in the streets, seeing people crazed out of their minds for no apparent reason, but the difference of skin color, um,
Right.
or the difference of who they fuck, any of that, all of it is just exploding. And I'm like, wait a second, back in the 90s, when a lot of this shit started rearing its ugly head, um, say Rodney King and LA, and a lot of people have probably forgotten about it, or probably don't even know about it. I mean, Christ, the other day I saw something on YouTube where somebody literally went out on the street to ask these young cats, um, to identify people in history. And the damnest thing, even though all these people, all these young, idealistic, progressive, and whatnot, sit there and say they're Antifa, this and that, out of the dozen or so that they interviewed, only two of them recognized Hitler. Two.
And see, and that's where the issue
Correct.
underlies.
Oh, it's a major issue. People need to be able to fully recognize, fully grasp history in order for you to not repeat it and also learn from it. Because most of the people that are out there right now, most of the people that are in the Twitter sphere, on TikTok, most of them are lacking the capability of perspective. And everybody's perspective is skewed, obviously, mostly because of personal interests and whatnot. It's human nature. Um, but their perspective is very indicative to what the, as I said before, vibe is in the social media world. I don't really see too many people thinking differently, and if they do think differently, then they're ousted. They're called some sort of ist or a phobe, and it's gotten to the point where I'm watching is like the LGBTQ community is even going at itself. This incident recently with In the Heights movie release, where Rita Moreno, the original star from uh, West Side Story, came out in defense of Lin Manuel,
Yeah.
and she also got eviscerated because, and it's a very fair point, there weren't too many darker skinned folks in that movie. Like there's a few that might be what, maybe two or three tones darker than me, but not like dark. And I'm sorry if anybody out there, I personally haven't, but if anybody out there has traveled down to Puerto Rico or any of the adjacent Caribbean islands in that region, there is a heavy mixture of folks, all different colors. You have to remember that history provides us those clues, as in at the beginning of the colonial um, endeavor by the Great British Empire. The shipping lanes had become high traffic. There's the pirates. So they were doing that. And obviously, if they were pirates, they were probably into slave trading and whatnot. So you have that where there's a lot of unregistered slaves and immigrants that were taken from Africa that ended up in the Caribbean and eventually in the Americas that aren't really truly accounted for. A lot of these new age buffs, history buffs, don't seem to really take that into account. They just kind of take whatever is written in these history books, assume that they are written by some white colonialist patriarchal bastard. Um, and they just do reverse.
I mean, isn't that
That's it. Like
it's
that.
just
That's
that
not even. It's not even that deep of a thought process. It's basically whatever they're or whatever is written down. Just do the reverse, and it's like, okay, slow your roll. Um, First off, you need to look at all of it. Yeah, you can definitely take a lot of things with a grain of salt, but you can do that with most things. You know, most people's stories, most, you know, hell, even you can sometimes skew the television and what you see on the view screens and what people see, and create a narrative or create some sort of different story than what actually is true.
Right.
Um,
And you know what?
but
And here's my thing too. And I want to bring this up because TLO, you made a, you honestly made an amazing point here. Is that people get history twisted. You know,
oh,
people have been getting history twisted since
very
since
long
they
time.
yeah, I was gonna say for a very good long for a very long time. And the fact of the matter is, is that when the fuck are people gonna get their facts straight?
Well, it's not even that. It's being open to the opinion or even the true fact that you might be wrong. That's a huge, huge hindrance in a lot of things that are going on right now. Is everything, every aspect of life has been pretty much put down to a zero-sum game. And
Right.
I'm sorry, unless we're, playing video games or war games or actual war, zero sum is not, it's not sustainable. Just to put that out there, it's not a sustainable way of life. Um, but mostly it's very self-destructive.
It
I
is.
mean, look at people right now. There's a lot of insecurities. There's a lot of neuroses. There's a lot of mental health issues that are being magnified by this pandemic. I mean, most people don't even realize here in the United States, but there's still quite a few countries that are in complete lockdown. I know
Yep.
for a fact that the UK is still pretty much all locked down, and they
Pretty,
have very, very limited movement.
pretty,
Um,
pretty much, the UK is still, they're at the fact where they can, leave their house, go get their nails done and stuff, go sit in a restaurant. But they're still pretty much in lockdown. They can't really walk into a grocery store without a mask on. It's not like how here in America is right now.
no, well, America is mostly, I would say, about 70% open. There's still a few places, I believe, Washington State, um, Oregon. There's still actual like lockdowns and where people are supposed to remain in place. But for the most part, um, almost all the states are at least 75 to almost 100% open. Um,
Well, look at
there's still
Ohio.
limited. There's still limited movement as far as with masks, and now that's even creating a whole nother issue in itself.
That's where
The
I was going next.
creation of another warfare, another front, as I was saying before, the non-sustainable life of strife, the constant perpetual victimhood, the just blaming everybody but themselves. That sort of mentality has become, I would say, twofold, maybe even threefold. Um, and people need to snap out of it. People
Yep.
need to definitely ditch a lot of their bullshit, like thought process, because there's a lot of very damaging thought process out there. There is so much hate out there. Like, I swear, if a foreign enemy wanted to take over America, they could at any time. Just because we're too far gone as far as infighting, none of us can get on the same fucking page. Um, some of it, it's getting so bad. Some of us like are looking at each other like we're speaking a different language, completely, and that's just sad. That's just
Right.
sad.
And you know what it is? It's because, like, you have certain states, I'm gonna move in an order with this. There's certain states that are come back to 100% capacity. Move back to like my state here in Ohio. All health mandated orders ended July 2nd, June
Well,
2nd. Sorry, not July 2nd, June 2nd. All health orders and everything just gone. Right?
yeah, mask mandates, vaccinated, unvaccinated, any of those things, those health related restrictions have been lifted.
But you still have like places like Portland, Oregon, Washington, where you still can't even go and sit in a dine-in theater.
Yeah.
You can't sit in a dine. You can't go in a dine-in. You can't sit in a movie theater. You can't. and go watch a sports game. There are still places that is under what we called dictatorship.
Oh well, we're far past that. Most places are in some sort of tyrannical rule. It's just the
Right.
varying degrees at this point. Because I'm sorry, if you think in any of your brains out there that these politicians, especially nimwits like AOC, who's sitting there and, you know, living this oh so difficult and oh so oppressed life in her, from what I heard, $3 million nice ass condo in Washington, D.C. And that's on top of the new apartment that she also got back in New York. It's if you think these people have your interest in mind or really are there to try and help things get better, I feel bad for you
Right,
because
because
damn.
literally what they're doing, is literally complete brainwashing you.
Oh yeah,
this, this
we saw those hints coming in the late '90s where you could see targeted marketing where all the commercials say on BET have black actors, but yet you change a channel to say CMT and there's nothing but Caucasian.
exactly.
I was seeing these patterns develop a while ago.
And guys, I want to point something about TLO's demeanor here for a minute. We can tell he's not sitting on his couch where he normally is. He's at it. Actually, I can see through your glasses. You're sitting right in front of your computer.
I am indeed.
2, he has his glasses on, which means here throughout the topics that I picked out tonight, and I'm not going to tell y'all, because they're fucked up. Because when I asked TLO to do this show tonight, he's going like, what topics you got? And I fucking named 4?
No,
Name
you made 3 and I added 1, yes.
Yeah. So here's the thing. When it's like, let me go look back at my text messages when I fucking texted you. When I literally text him, I texted you at 4:40 while I was sitting in the doctor's office. Actually, right after I left the doctor's office. I said, hey, bro, show tonight? He went like, what topics you got? And I named them. And here's what I'm going to bring out that frustrates me the fucking most. Okay? And Patrick was even sitting by me when I said this out loud, and I got it.
What's up, y'all? Pat.
You got Pat in the background, which he'll probably pop in because of the fact every once in a while, because one of these topics was brought up by Pat. Let's talk about how Biden met with Putin, came back to the fucking States, and completely and utterly trash talked him. Not even 24 hours after coming back, watch this, from Britain, from the UK. Went to Russia, then went to the UK and disrespected not only the Queen, but the Prime Minister. And then you're going to come back to here and disrespect Putin behind his back.
Well, it wasn't behind his back.
Well, hold on. You'll see what I mean by behind his back. You didn't have the balls to say it to his face while you were there because you knew you would get fucking caught. And then we would have full war on our hands because our president's sitting in fucking jail. Right?
Well, there was some words that were exchanged for sure. That's why the press were so feisty, is because there was that energy in the air. No, I think Biden, to be honest, I think Biden may have actually called Putin to his face, to be honest. Because I guarantee you, Putin, being the man that he is, would arise to any challenge. And I know that Biden did challenge him on all
National television.
the hacker gates and all the presidential election influencing and whatnot. And especially because I have a feeling if it wasn't our lovely industrious government, it was most likely Russia and not China that hacked our oil infrastructure of late. Um, to be honest, I think it's actually Russia doing the majority of the hacking, and they're sussing our basically our defenses out. They're scouting us out at the moment. And you can even see that in association with the increased incursions by Russian jets into our airspace. I believe just recently they sent quite a few of them, pretty darn close, um, a dozen or
And
so.
at least the Air Force showed, like, look, motherfuckers, we ain't fucking around. You
They
might want
did.
to back up.
They took less than 20 minutes to scramble them. So, yeah, people are on edge. All countries are kind of eyeing each other up, sussing each other out, because guess what, folks? Even though we're all kind of sitting here and talking about all these political bullshit things, all these human insecurities that are being projected on each other, um, the world itself is tearing itself apart.
Amen to that.
Most people don't realize, but pretty much a third of China was, even to this day, underwater. There's been massive floods. A lot of their infrastructure has been wiped out. A lot of this information has been suppressed by the lovely teddy bears over there at the CCP.
Come on now.
Yeah, China is actually not doing so hot at the moment. To be honest, a lot of nations are starting to experience some pretty extreme weathers. You have poor Australia that has suffered greatly. You had the drought, which led to the boom and all those effing mice. Um, and now they've just been recently deluged. And so they had another incursion where all those critters and spiders and all those lovely creatures that are located 2 miles from the surface of the sun in that lovely country, Australia, all of them decided to go indoors in
Yeah.
people's homes. So I believe I saw a picture of an entire town covered in spider webs, like
Yep.
the entire town. Um,
Then you have
there,
North Korea
yeah.
that's
And
running
you have North Korea that,
on a food shortage.
we know North Korea is not doing so well. Granted, most of it has been inflicted by outside influences, hence the reason why they propagate the hate America sort of gung-ho nationalism. But it comes down to, yeah, they're running out of food. Like even their well-to-dos, their inner circle are starting to trade their personal belongings at the northern border with China.
You know
With
what?
with China. So
I heard
these are people, the same people that were supposed to be up in that big ass hotel, their only skyscraper, whatever that atrocity is, that big ass triangle of death. Because I hear a lot of people just go there and die. Um,
pretty much. I mean, you're not wrong when you say that.
no, no. Much
You know,
like the forests in Japan at the base of Mount Fuji.
right? And for disclosure, I am not doing drugs. I'm pointing that out there now because I've gotten hit for fucking having this can out. It's a fucking nicotine pouch.
Yep. Yeah, well, since most idiot adults out there can't even discern their fucking gummy bears from edibles, and they let their children OD, most of you assholes have no leg to stand on.
Clearly.
Just
Yeah.
to be honest.
Here, hold on. Clearly, hold on. Let me show one of these. Hold on. Let me show one of these, right? It's. Can you see that?
Like, really
Clearly,
burst.
and this is a nicotine powder. I can see the powder more fine inside of it because it's not having a light beamed right on it.
Well, I'll tell you something. That's no white lady you got there.
You know, here's the thing. I got hit on Facebook. Okay.
Oh, well,
For using.
we could have a whole hour just to go on Facebook.
Facebook and Twitch is where I got hit for using cocaine.
Yeah, it looks like cocaine.
Well,
Does cocaine go right here? Look, does cocaine
considering
go right here? Really?
Considering I've just about seen a girl's pussy on Twitch, once again, they just need to shut the fuck up.
Do you know what?
If you're gonna let that fly, you gotta let that fly. You can't be indignant and pick and choose and crawl into your little safe spaces or any of that bullshit. You're just fucking wrong, like just straight up.
Well,
like if you allow people to basically propagate this mentality or the objectification of women, for a quick buck, I have no sympathy for you.
I have seen so many girls because a lot of TLO, you know, I do a lot of game streaming on Twitch.
Well,
I have seen so many girls on there go from one follower in one day. She was brand new. To where she had 2,533 followers in her chat room because she was sitting in a hotel. She was sitting in a fucking hot tub and a bikini, already making money off of Twitch. Now, mind you, I am a man having to move 2 hours to watch this, because now this is where you said the sexism shit earlier. I'm going to bring this up, right? This is how bad it's getting. Is that a girl can go shake her ass on TikTok or Twitch and make a fucking couple $1,000 in a couple days. But men like me and TLO have to sacrifice fucking everything we have and get a fucking job that pays anywhere, what, TLO, between 15 and $20 an hour? I have to move 2 fucking hours away just to provide for my family. 2. Working in 90-degree heat so people can have fun, which, now mind me, don't get me wrong, I'm excited for this job. Okay? Don't get me wrong when I'm saying this, because it was a blessing in disguise that I didn't see coming. But it's bullshit that a girl can shake her ass or go get fucking railed on Pornhub, make a quick $32,000, $3,200, I think it is for the payout, Pat. We looked that up, wasn't it?
Something on there.
About $3,200 for a girl on Twitch to go get railed for a couple, for 45 minutes to an hour. Make $3,200. But here we are, us men are out here busting our ass off, doing manual labor, TLO sitting at a desk, helping people out for 8 hours. Me pushing a button, making sure people are safe on a ride. That way they're not fucking dying. And this guy, come here, Pat. Come here. And this guy right here.
You got this guy over here scaring people out of haunted house.
Working in a haunted house. And TLO, me and TLO both know black people don't work in a fucking haunted house.
We don't do this. We do not do this for a living. We don't. We can't even get us to go to watch a scary movie. I'm just saying.
We are literally.
Unless it's a scary movie.
Finally, there was a shed of light in this conversation.
It's okay. I mean, I can
But
throw
here's
that
the
in.
thing:
I can throw that
it
in.
is so fucking sad that women are so objectified. It puts us men in a position where we're scared to get into a fucking relationship.
As I don't share that perspective, I do agree with you that it is once again skewed. What's for me, what kind of gets my goat is the hypocrisy and the blatant just manipulation, to be honest. Just how it's very, very easy for women to say guys are controlling or they're misogynistic or this and that. But yet we see a lot of very, very sad and lonely, insecure guys just doling out, as you said, thousands to these girls for it's not even showing your kitty. It's just sitting there and talking nice to some of these poor fools, and it's sad. Actually got to, I wouldn't say sit in, but I was on the phone with someone, a young lady, and she was basically doing that. And like, she was just jerking these guys' chains off, and they were sitting there and just doling out tips left and right. And it was just sad. It's like,
You know
I'm
what?
as Dwayne has alluded, I'm also a man, and I have manly needs, and it's been a very, very long time. You still won't catch me on any of those things because, yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I like watching it. That's why I'll pop in a DVD or a Blu-ray. But as far as paying for these women to sit there and doll themselves up in whatever new fucking Fenty or whoever's making a damn makeup kit these days, it's always one of these artists or whatnot. Um, I have no interest in that. I did my time. I had plenty of women in my life that were like that. Hell, I paid for one to have what, 3 cars? So I totally understand. Granted, that was when I was much younger, much richer, and just in general, the world was a lot better of a place. Because I actually could walk down the street and not get harassed for whatever different reason. Because most people were pleasant to each other. Most people were respectful to each other. Hell, even people that hated each other's guts. I remember quite a few rednecks in my high school. One was even called out and suspended because he had slipped in the N-word into his yearbook quote. Sneaky guy.
Sneaky fucking bastard.
But let me tell y'all something. He and I were good friends. Real talk.
Right.
He and I had both encounters or whatever. We helped each other out. I backed him up on a few times, and he backed me up on a few times. And yeah, we had a good respect for one another. And deep down, he could hate my guts because I'm a effing you know what. But at the end of the day, if I'm sitting there and I can sit across the lunch table and have a decent conversation, I mean, seriously, what's the problem with that? Why is that such a bad thing? Why is having your life be in a nice static pattern so atrocious to comparative to this life where everyone hates each other?
Right.
Nobody likes anybody. Like, I swear, like, any given day, I could easily punch the lights out on any given person, and I'm talking man, woman, and child, because
Right,
there's some
exactly.
fucked up kids out there.
Let me
I
point
mean,
this. Right, exactly. Let me point this out here for a minute, right? You see me and Pat, right?
mhm.
Friends for 15 years. There are days we want to fucking kill each other. You can tell we are opposite skin color.
Oh no, I hadn't noticed.
I'm pointing out for the obvious dumbasses that are fucking watching. There's
You may
there's
need
a
a
thing,
disclaimer.
there's a thing me and Pat do. I get called his Ku Klux Klan member. I call him my porch monkey. Because the fact that he calls me his Ku Klux Klan member. He's calling me a racist person. So I'm gonna I can turn around and go like, hey, porch monkey, the fuck you doing? I said that in the mall today after Pat called me a Klan member. After Pat called me a Klan member, I almost got jumped
Yeah.
by 10 black people in a
Mhm.
mall. And Patrick pulled his shirt up and went like, I don't think none of y'all want to do this. He went like, I don't think none of y'all want to do this. And Patrick went like, he's my Ku Klux Klan member and I'm his porch monkey. You got a fucking problem with it? You better say something to me now. Because I will kick your ass. No one's touching my white guy at all.
Exactly.
And there's days we hate each other.
Well, there's days everybody has that they just don't like anybody, even someone that they profess their love for or came out of their womb or whatnot. I mean, everyone has a day.
Like there's days I can't stand my mother. Like, okay, I will say this. I have never hated my mother once in her life. There is days I have not liked my mother, that I have never seen eye to eye with my mother. Even in the past, you know what, Pat, year and a half that we've had a great relationship, me and mom, we don't see eye to eye. But here's the thing. My mom is one of the most loving and caring people. Adopted him, not legally, not yet. It might come. I don't know. It's mom. No, I don't even know. I'm just on a presumption out there. Predictive theory. My mom calls her his black-white mom. I have sat on my porch with Patrick Tilo. I called you after this incident. After people were calling him a gorilla, the N-word, because he's sitting on my porch, playing on his phone, and minding his business while his nephew is outside sitting on his lap. Now, here's what I'm going to say. If you guys don't have fucking anything nice to say to people, keep your fucking mouth shut, because all three of us here, I already know TLO's fucking ready to stab fucking somebody. There's nights I get a text message I'm like, only if Garfield wasn't home. And that's all it takes for me to know fucking TLO's ready to fuck somebody up. Patrick saw his ex the other day at what was it? The mall? Walmart? Kept trying to be friends with him. Got to the point where Patrick almost had to knock her the fuck out. Like,
Yeah, it's the stupidity levels is fucking atrocious.
Here's the thing, guys. We're all fucking human. No matter what skin color, origin, race, ethnic, or anything, we all bleed the same fucking color. We all have the same organs besides females, and it's 2 different fucking organs. 2. 3.
Well, that's a whole nother story that I could go on to, but I think we have to stick with our 4 topics for tonight.
Right. But You know what I'm saying? Well, you brought this one into perspective, so I'm just shedding light on it. If me and him can get along, and me and TLO can get along, and at the end of the day, when we get off the phone, we can say, I love you, bro. Stay safe. Why can't y'all? Why does it matter who the president is? What fucking black or white person dies in the fucking street? Because that's where I'm going next. Because
Yeah,
let me tell you this.
lots of people are dying. And it's not just black folks, as the narrative or the media might want you to think.
Us white folks are fucking dying.
Yes.
By black folks. Black folks are dying by white folks. Gringos, Mexicans, as you would call them, you racist fuckers, are dying by black, white, Asian, Chinese, sometimes their own kind. And like the latest person who died by the cops in Minneapolis had the fucking ATF chasing at, no, I'm wrong, sorry, the U.S. Marshals, and he brought a pistol to a true gunfight. Of course you're gonna get fucking shot.
Yeah, the problem is, I mean, obviously there is an overabundance of guns on the streets of pretty much everywhere. It's not just America. I mean, they're having bad troubles with gun violence now in the UK, and they're supposed to ban guns.
From what I understand, it's hard to get a gun.
Oh, you can still get a gun in the UK. You can still get a gun anywhere.
But I'm talking
with
for
the
a
exception of
legal
North
person.
Korea. That might be a little difficult.
For a legal person to obtain a firearm in the UK, legally, have to go through a psychiatric evaluation, background check,
Oh, yeah.
120 hours at the fucking range, and then another 120 fucking hours of a firearm class.
Yeah.
Here in America, we can go to a fucking drug dealer and be like, hey, I want a gun for $75.
Basically.
I can even go to a pawn shop and not even get background. I mean, I'll get a background check, not a psychiatric evaluation or anything. And fucking walk out with a gun on my hip.
Yes. But since we live in a day where everyone has guns, it's only fair to assume that one of them would be cocky enough to pull it on a law enforcement officer. And of course, there's going to be some sort of gunfight. I mean, we've seen it in history if y'all would stop trying to erase history. And, you know, you would be able to actually like learn from it and not repeat it. But, you know, that's just my thoughts, my suggestions.
You know, like the protests and the burning shit down. Needs
that
stop.
shit is getting a little old. The protesting, you know, obviously they have their rights to protest. I think it might be once again misguided perspective, because as I said before, yeah, if you are carrying a gun and you know you get pulled over by law enforcement, obviously there's going to be some sort of conflict. And to be honest, for the most part, that is, to be honest, race fully aside. You know, like just recently there was an anniversary of a young man, a white man, who was shot over 12 times by a cop. But you don't see that in the news cycle. You don't see that shit in the news cycle, do you? No, you just see the people getting all pissy in our uptown district here in Minneapolis. And then take once again what happened to the young lady, the protester, which was an unfortunate accident. But the narrative became that it was some sort of targeted attack and that the quote unquote white supremacists were trying to come and assassinate them, which is complete and utter bullshit. Complete and utter bullshit. The guy that they caught is a fucking idiot and a drunk, and he's been caught numerous times driving while intoxicated. Numerous times.
I know who you're talking about now.
Yeah. But the whole narrative was this guy was intentionally out to get them. And no, it was just the dumb asshole was way too inebriated to be behind the wheel. You know, some say he was going 100 miles per hour. God, I want to choke some of those dumbasses. Which I'm sorry, but if a car is traveling, say even over 75 miles per hour and it hits another car, you know how far that car would go like a fucking pinball? Like, even if it had its emergency brakes on, it would go at least a distance of 25 feet. And you're trying to tell me only one woman died? There would have been mass fatalities there.
Can I step in on this? As someone who's been on the other side of that, that's had to respond to that, and had a car going 80 collided with one car, that car in that 25 feet can collide with 2 or 3 cars, and I've seen 6 people dead from a 4-car collision. Pat was with me that night. My cousin Logan was with me that night. Me and him rode in his personal vehicle that had lights and sirens on it. We got dispatched to a 5-car MVA that started out as a 2-car MVA. If you don't know what MVA stands for, it's multiple vehicle accident. It's where 2 or more vehicles get into a car crash for y'all dumbasses that aren't paying attention. I've seen people get thrown through a windshield from the person that hit them because the impact was so great they went over the fucking steering wheel. No wonder the dumbass got shot going 100 plus fucking miles an hour.
Well, that guy didn't get shot. He just got beat on after he got dragged from the car after they
Good. Knock some fucking sense into him.
Oh, you can see by the mugshot he got a few dings on him. So but yeah, no, the whole point is that, you know, there's no way that this guy was traveling 100 miles per hour, because just like you said, just 70 to 80 miles per hour, and you had, you know, 5 cars and 5 people, you know, DOA. So yeah, if in a crowded circumstance a guy is going 100 miles per hour, there have been way more deaths. But from what I saw from all the little Twitter heads and whatnot, you know, people were saying, and oh, I witnessed it, and this and that, and you know, I'm just like, okay, y'all need to just shut the fuck up.
Right.
Because even if you were there, you're just gonna be all hyped up, and you're gonna just vent your anger and project all your bullshit onto the situation, and it's not gonna help. And it's not. This whole thing, like the city of Minneapolis right now is in chaos. Like, it's starting to break down to the point where I wouldn't doubt it if someone tries to make a play at our mayor. And I think most of y'all know exactly what I mean. So,
You know, it's getting to the point, you know, to where we have to separate facts from somebody's perception.
yes, and the facts is you have to actually investigate, and you have to look at all the angles before you jump to that conclusion, which most people are skipping, you know, B through Y, but, you know, just arriving at Z. So you
Right.
need to stop.
Right. Like, I'll even give the best point of one of our shows when we talked about the girl who was shot by a police officer here in Columbus, Ohio. TLO, how many times did we play that clip live on air? And from how many different angles did we play that on?
We had 3 different angles that we were looking at.
We had 2 police body cameras and a bystander who
Yep.
captured no audio. Then we listened to the officer who fired both shots. In my eyes, justified. That knife came back. He had no choice.
Well, yeah, no. The situation was shitty to begin with, but yeah, he made a judgment call, and to be honest, it's, sad but true that he did make the right call at that moment, because yeah, from what I saw, those angles, if she would have thrusted forward, she probably would have got her right in her kidney and taken out that poor girl with the knife. And at one point she even had it overhead, which I'm kind of surprised, and also would remark on the fact that this officer did show restraint. Because I'm sorry, if I see a knife coming overhead, it doesn't matter. You're done.
It's game.
Straight. Yeah, that's it. Straight. No talk, no decision making. Triggers pulled.
And here's the thing.
Every
When we're out there attacking police officers because they're trained on a split, sometimes part of their training is a split-second decision.
Yes, and we all know that it does come down to the second decision. It's the issue is people, as I said before, want to jump all the way from A to Z without having investigations play out, without having, more witnesses possibly step forward, that sort of thing. We just want to assume this narrative, which I can use an example, even as I said, a real time or a real life example that's played out in front of us. Another instance where we had riots in Minneapolis was because someone decided to take themselves out in a very grandiose way, just out off of Nicollet Avenue, downtown Minneapolis, literally about 4 blocks from where I sit in my little hole in the office. And chaos ensued, and everyone was running with this narrative that this guy was shot up by the cops once again. And in actuality, the guy had,
Blowing his head
put
off.
the gun against his head and pulled the trigger, but yet businesses burned, were looted. Target was looted numerous times. Downtown and the uptown one that's been featured so prominently on the recent episodes of Murderapolis,
Right.
2.0. We're already up to 42 murders, I do believe, as of today, and I don't think they're counting the dismembered body that they found over Northside. Yes, I said dismembered. In pieces.
Y'all have a serial killer on your
In pieces, people. Like in those movies where a woman's jogging along and her dog picks up on something, or she stumbles on some shit like that, and it's a foot. That actually happened.
And like here's the thing, and like I'm gonna go back to last year where we had CNN reporters arrested. We found out later because they were spreading false information.
Oh yeah, well, oof.
We didn't find that out.
I literally could write a thesis of how fucked CNN is. Like,
right, but you know what? But you know where I'm going with this is that the media wants us to see white on black crime, police officer and a black male. But statistic shows, and me and TLO and Scarlett, we've talked about this on air.
Yes. Well, most people actually know the statistics because they're out there, and a lot of people obviously have read it. It's just they're, as I said, in their idiocracy stage, and they just, I don't know, dismiss it, say it's the patriarchy or capitalist pigs or whatever the fucking force de jour bullshit protagonist is today.
Is white unarmed men, are more likely to die by a cop than what a person of color would be. Statistically proven.
Yeah.
Out of every single police report that has ever been an officer involved shooting, white person.
A majority of them have been white. That's the thing is, yes, the majority of them have been white. It's probably not too far off for black, but the thing is, the narrative and what the media wants you to see is only that. Why do you think there's been this huge, I'd say, influx or another brouhaha building with this narrative with the anti-Asian hate? For a long time, the narrative was all this white supremacist bullshit, but then come to find somebody I think actually did the legwork, as it said, used to be said or stated. They actually watched like hours of CCT cams and stuff like that from different sort of things and cases and whatnot around the country. And out of like the hundreds of hours, yeah, he found it was like 86, 87% black on Asian crime. But you wouldn't be able to tell that from any of the media outlets. All they wanted to say was it's, those evil white supremacists are coming to get you
Right.
in
So,
their Trump trucks with their Trump flags and Confederate hats and 3% patches and all of that shit. See, like they create this whole boogeyman. Like it's almost literally a fucking figurehead boogeyman, but most people just, I don't know, they're just dumb. They just don't see it. I don't know.
right. So, TLO, would you like to introduce our next topic since it was yours?
Well, if we're going to segue into that, I suppose it's a pretty appropriate time since we are kind of talking about the narrative and a lot of narratives that have been manufactured of late have come out of Hollywood. Hollywood and the entertainment business and industry has gone through a transformation that I can't even describe or don't think there was words that have been yet created. There's a lot of that starting to come to a head though, where these movie industries that were creating this divisive culture where everybody hates each other, it's starting to actually be found out, actually being called into light. A lot of things that are featured predominantly as, I don't know, false flags or just these weird pandering tropes that are being played out. But like one that comes to mind huge is Batwoman is just having an atrocious time. The aforementioned In the Heights, that's been absolutely just eviscerated as far as viewership. Like it's gotten less people to watch it than I do believe Batwoman, which is hovering at around just under 500,000 people. Only 500,000 people on average are watching this program, this, groundbreaking, this progressive narrative where a female comes along and says that the bat suit will be perfect when it's made for a woman. So it's technically not even her fucking suit. Anyways, but no, we're starting to see Hollywood and a lot of their narratives with their IPs, i.e., Doctor Who, Star Trek, Star Wars is a huge one right now. The big influx is the granddaddy, the man himself, the myth, the legend, George Lucas, is so fucking incensed at what that bitch Kathleen Kennedy did to the Star Wars franchise that he is now paying to buy back his shit so he can produce a true trilogy. And this is actually going down like right now. Like KK's contract is most likely not going to be renewed because she is basically kryptonite. Her stuff, it's very pandering. Like I don't get why all these people think that these roles, that these characters are really evolved or progressive or advancing some sort of idea when a lot of them are just played out stereotypes and played out tropes. And a lot of them aren't even theirs. Like they're literally just taking over other people's baggage, basically, and just calling it their own. Literally, like in The Rise of Skywalker. That. But no, the Hollywood scene is starting to show it's losing steam with its progressive mindset. A lot of companies are starting to back away from it. I do believe diving somewhat into that, the entertainment, the new preview for what is it? Number 5 of something that's or 6 that's coming out. Dwayne, Battlefield, I believe, right?
Battlefield.
Yes. And a lot of people were shitting their pants when that came out because they didn't follow along with the, as I said, the pandering tropes of the previous version, which was the, I do believe, where they were in World War One, but yet you have this woman who's basically like a fucking.
Battlefield 2042.
There you go, Battlefield 2042, and yeah, and they have things in there where they've got some effects of climate change and extreme weathers, but they weren't making a big deal about it, and they were, put on some sort of display as being naughty, sitting there in the corner with a dunce cap, because they didn't make a whole big deal about it. But I believe the game developers basically just said, fuck you. Like, we're making a game that people enjoy to play. We're not sitting here trying to, set up some sort of diatribe while they're trying to play their game or something
Right.
weird.
And since you bring this up, there's been a feud going on, Tilo. I don't know if you caught up with it yet. Knowing it's Hollywood, you probably have. With the whole Batman and Catwoman situation.
Oh, well, that has just become an absolute clusterfuck. And you know why? Once again, it's one of those self-absorbed Pringles and dickhead Robert Pattinson, who, I'm sorry, is probably one of the worst human beings to be walking this planet. And trust me, there's quite a few of them out there. And so to make that list is impressive. But just this whole thing is how he's gone about, trying to portray Batman and basically just being a whiny little fucking snowflake the whole entire time. Oh, and to top it off, probably knocking up your fucking co-star, literally on set.
So you know what? Here is my thing on this, okay? Because I saw DC Comics come out with an official fucking statement, and this is a fucking picture that I went and Googled earlier to make sure it was fucking real because I saw it on Facebook. Anything I see on Facebook, I have to go and fucking Google this son of a bitch. People were bitching because of the fact that saying, oh, they weren't having live sex on fucking camera. DC Comics and the fucking producer of the movie came out and said, yes, they fucking were. 90% of our movies where a sex scene is happening, they are actually having sex behind the fucking camera.
You just don't see it.
Well,
You just don't
it's
fucking
pretty
notice it.
evident. It's pretty evident when you have instances like what was that stupid ass movie, Mr. Jones and Mrs. Smith or whatever, with
Or the fucking
Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt.
or the fucking Matrix. You saw fucking Neo and the one bitch literally
Yes.
fucking in the movie. They were both butt fucking naked.
Yeah, well, that portrayal and stuff like that, they'll sometimes simulate it, and I wouldn't doubt if sometimes they get a little too method. But yeah, no, it's not even that. It's the whole thing. They're just trying to cover their asses because they're a bunch of fucking dumbasses. Like, don't even get me started on my brothers. They're a
What?
bunch of pieces of shits.
But here's my thing, though, and this is where a lot of people might get mad at me. What the fuck does it matter if they're simulating sex or actually getting it on a movie set?
Well, because you have like young idiots like that Jojo Siwa or whatever the fuck her name is, and saying that she doesn't, making a big deal about not having to kiss a boy because she's gaybo now, and I'm like, really, is that really what we've come to? Because that shows a whole lot of intelligence. Let me tell you, a whole lot of intelligence.
And they said the reason Batman could not go down on Catwoman is because of the fact heroes, and I quote, heroes don't do that. They absolutely just don't. But
Yeah,
when it
no,
came,
I
but when
guess
it,
there was no expectations for a reach around. So
but when it came from, but when it like when Green Arrow and whatever that bitch's name was happened, it could happen. But Batman, Bruce Wayne slash Batman can't get fucked. What?
Oh, but it's okay for Spider-Man to kiss a girl in the movie.
Right, but it's okay for Spider-Man to kiss a girl in a movie.
well, yeah, but that's the thing is they don't want their heroes to actually be too human because then people might actually like, I don't know, understand the characters better, and they'd be less profitable, regurgitating or trying to regurgitate the same fucking story over and over again, which is what they're basically doing nowadays. Even though recently they've had numerous occasions where they've had decent people to portray Batman, because both Christian Bale and Ben Affleck were both capable and I thought pretty decent portrayals of Batman. But you could in any of those instances, any of the stuff, like I'll be honest, I read a lot of Batman, the actual comics, as I was young, and to be honest, there are sexual situations that Batman was in. He would sleep once in a while with a model or some sort of sexy athlete from Metropolis or some bullshit, but they never really delved into like the practices or
Oh fuck!
acts. They weren't breaking out the Kama Sutra and whatnot, but they are now.
TLO, where'd your
That's
camera
kind of
go?
one of my gripes as well. Is why is it all of a sudden what everybody does and how they do it and who they do it with so much more important than an actual decent, just entertaining story?
Right, TLO, can you hear me? Oh fuck, my internet's going. Sup, guys? We're back. TLO's been booted for some fucking reason. Where's TLO? We call Mr. TLO and figure out what his power strip.
Hey, man.
Hello.
Welcome back, man.
Not sure what happened there. They decided to drop me from StreamYard, so I guess they didn't like what I had to say.
Probably.
I mean, it's not the first time we've been censored.
Yeah, right. It probably won't be the last.
Well, like here, so going back on the topic is going to piss people off and get me booted back off. Cause trust me, right as you were going, I got fucking booted back to the mainstream.
Yeah, no, we both got dropped. But no,
And that's
dude,
why.
as I was saying before, like the Batman was portrayed very well. We don't need a Robert Pattinson. That's once again the pandering. Trying to get all these little somewhat maturing wet panties wet again with the glittering bat. Because I have no doubt in my mind they'll have him glitter in the moonlight or some stupid shit.
You know what?
Here's my thing: is he's not that good of an actor. Like,
No,
I'm sorry, he really is not that good of an actor. There's so many more people, like anybody, that could be a better Batman than Robert Pattinson.
Eddie Murphy could have pulled off a better Batman.
Like Eddie Murphy would have been. Oh my sweet mercy. No, and then like the other casting is just absolutely asinine. I mean, you've got what is it, Colin? What's his name? The Irish shit.
Here, let me go pull up IDB.
Colin Farrell. Yeah, that little shit. Having him play the Penguin, like that just threw me right there. I was like, yep, I'm good. I'm done. And you know, and Zoe Kravitz, you know, she actually has talent. And I'm sure she actually would be a pretty good Catwoman if she can keep her whip in place.
Right, so let's go look at the plot.
Oh, the plot is, I'm sure, just
Well, not the plot. Let's go look at the lineup for Batman, shall we?
Now you got that fool from the failed Fantastic Four playing the Riddler. Isn't that him? Paul Dano or some stupid shit? I don't know. But he's just like some goofy looking white boy, and I'm like, really? Like,
there's Patterson, Farrell, Paul Dano, Andy Serkis,
Now he's also very talented.
Zoe
Holy crap.
Kravitz, Peter
Sorry.
Sarsgaard,
Yep.
Barry Keegan, John Turturro playing Carmine Falcone.
Yeah,
Are you
exactly.
kidding me?
Yeah. See? There you go. Like that's exactly the correct response.
Robert Penny Jones playing fucking Mayor. He's playing the mayor. Mayor Don Mitchell. Then you turned James Gordon Black.
Yes. See, you had to slip one of those race swaps in there. It's almost like as I said, it's become like a Hollywood trope, and it's sad and it's pandering. You know, I don't feel anything from having Superman become black. I don't get anything out of that. Like
Now wait a minute. Hold on, because I'm starting to throw shit. Hold the fuck. Wait the fuck a second.
I don't know how I feel about that.
James Gordon from Day fucking One has been a fucking cracker.
That's what I thought.
Wait the fucking minute. Hold the fuck.
Well,
What the
yeah.
fuck did you do to the Batman movie? What the fuck did you do?
Well, the thing is, like, you create this whole issue with timelines and splintering off, like in the Marvel universe, because
Is this
you
supposed
know,
to go as fucking backwards?
well, the problem is James Gordon is actually a very, very pivotal person in the world of Batman, and also just the way Gotham City itself progresses throughout history. I'm not sure what they've done of late in comic books. I used to read them all the time, but then I started catching wind of all the weird bullshit being projected at me, and I just wanted to read a good fucking comic. But I heard that they've messed around with the timelines and with origins, like just like at a drop of the hat. And if you wanted to try and keep any sort of credibility and especially plausibility with your readers, because for instance, back when I was reading it, James Gordon is the father of Barbara Gordon, who actually turns out to be Batwoman, I do believe.
Hey, TLO. We
hmm.
might have to wrap this up early. I have an emergency. I have to.
Oh, all right.
Sorry,
well, you have to do what you got to do.
I want to finish this, but guys, give me like a half hour and me and TLO might be back on. It's my kid.
Yeah, well, you got to take care of your kid.
Guys, stay tuned. TLO will call you soon. Are you going to be up for a while? You're off tomorrow, right?
I'll be up for a little bit, but probably not too late.
I'll give you a call.
Probably not. Yeah, if it's a half hour, maybe. But if it gets more than a half hour, no.
All right, guys. If not, you'll catch me and TLO tomorrow, and we'll finish this off tomorrow, guys. Thank you for tuning in. I will keep you guys up to date. Deuces.